Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna. Loudly, everyone, loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Gauranitai, 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 Gauranitai. Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram. Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda, 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 Nityananda. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav Radhe. Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Lokamanande, Haribo. प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि शिशि पंडित भगवान की जय। श्री ताई गौ सुंदर राशन सुंदर श्री श्री राधा माधव जी की श्री प्रधान श्री भगवान की कृष्ण भक्त प्रदायनी तुलसी महारानी की नवद्वीप धाम की वृंदावन धाम की जगन्नाथ धाम की यमुनामय की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की वेद गौर भक्त वृंद की गाय गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्लोरी टू दास हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरी टू दास हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरी टू दास
Namaste Narasingaya. Prahaladala hine. Hiranyakashi purvaksha. Shilatangkhana khalaye. Ito Narsinga parato Narsinga. Yato yato yamitato Narsinga. Mahi Narsinga Hridaye Narsinga. Narasinga Madem Sharanam Prapade. Otavakara Kamalavaye Nakha Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipo Tano Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Re Jaya Jagadisha Re Jaya Jagadisha Re. Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada and our temple president, Premananda Mataji, I'd like to welcome you to this wonderful festival, Nityananda Trayodasi. If you could, we're going to have the festival lecture now, so if you could please turn towards the Vyasasan here. Mataji is on this side and Prabhuji is on that side. And please don't sit with your back to Prabhupada. So if you can quickly. So our speaker is Mohan Lila Prabhu. Mohan Lila Prabhu has been a Bhakti Yoga practitioner for over 18 years. He has served in several leadership roles in various ISKCON temples and communities. He is currently the Vedavyas Sunday School principal as well as the Child Protection Officer in ISKCON Naperville. And those who know Mohan Lila Prabhu would appreciate his warm and joyful mood in serving all the fellow devotees and everybody that comes to the community. He's also loved by the children for his ability to connect and nourish their Krishna consciousness journey. Mohan Lila Prabhu and his wife Premakishori Mataji serve in a variety of ways in ISKCON Naperville, and they live with their children in Aurora. So let's welcome, where's Prabhu? Let's welcome Prabhu with a loud Hari Bol. Hari Bol!
Hare Krishna. You need to bear with my inability to sing or ability to sing out of beat, okay? Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल श्री राधा माधव की, श्री नित्यानंद राम की, नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी महामहोत्सव की, Srila Prabhupada ki. So we'll start with our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. You can repeat after me now. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktapyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Namo Mahavadhanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Nityanando Avadhutendra Vasudha Pranavallabha Janavi Jivitapatihi Krishna Prema Pratap Prabho Padmavati Sutta Shriman Sachinandana Purvajan Bhavonmato Jagatrato Rakta Gaurak Kalevara Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, welcome all to this on this auspicious day of Nityananda Trayodasi. Before I speak a few words, I would like to seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas here so that I can glorify Sri Nityananda Ram. So I'll start with a curious question that one of our Sunday school students asked once. Prabhu, I've been attending so many festivals in the temple. You're raising your hand? Okay, go ahead. What is your question, Sita? Yes, you're right. Good observation, Sita. So the question that was asked to me was, Prabhu, I attended Janmashtami festival. Gopal Hari Prabhu gave a nice lecture and he said, this is the most important festivals of all festivals. Then I attended Premananda Mataji's on Radhashtami. She said, this is the most important of all festivals. Then I attended Gaura Purnima and the speaker said, this is the most important of all festivals. Are you going to say Nityananda Trayodasi is going to be the most important of all? Yes, Sita? Why? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on Gaura Purnima. So, we'll try to answer that question today. But let us go through Bhagavad Gita verse before we do that. So, Janma karma chame divyam. Okay, you can repeat after me. Janma karma chame divyam. Evam yo veti tattvataha taktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance, activities, does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So the answer to that, to the question by the student is, whichever day you're celebrating the festival, that is the most important day. Because when you remember why Krishna took janma or birth or came down to this material world, and what activities he performed in this material world, what is that going to give you? What is the benefit that's going to give you? What is the prayojana of it when you remember all these pastimes and you understand why Krishna appears? We will not take birth again. So, the appearance day or the festival that we are celebrating, if we understand why that personality appeared and what kind of activities that personality performed on that particular day or in that particular incarnation, then we are going to get out of this material world if we understand properly. So let us approach Sri Nityananda Ram today so that we can meditate on his appearance or advent and also the activities that Lord Nityananda Ram performed in this material world. If we are able to understand one small iota of reason why he appeared and the kind of activities he performed, then we are guaranteed liberation. Guaranteed to the eternal abode, not even liberation. He attains my eternal abode. That's what Krishna is promising here. So, I want to tell you a small, two incidents actually that happened that really gave me a total different perspective of things, of how I approach this material world. This was about 12 years ago. I went to a japa retreat in the Catskill Hills. It's in upstate New York. This was performed by Sachinandan Maharaj. He was supposed to come, but somehow he got sick and he did not come. But there were a lot of people, and this was my early days of Krishna consciousness. So there was a lot of interaction happening. In between, we were divided into groups. And I was put in a group with two other people, one elderly gentleman and one more other person. And we were asked to discuss the glories of the holy name. How the holy name can touch our hearts. So I was discussing, and then that elderly gentleman, he told something. He told me, this is so nice. The holy name is so nice. I really wish my children uptook the chanting of the holy name. He meant to say, my children understand the glory of this holy name. His children were in Krishna consciousness. Then I started to giving him some ideas and suggestions how he can inspire his children. And I felt so nice, that I was able to contribute in the discussion. And then we moved on to the next activity. And then the next activity was the most anticipated item, right? The most anticipated kirtan of the evening. In the evening, a beautiful kirtan happens. So the introduction, the person who was going to invite the singer, he gave a nice introduction. He said, this personality was initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1970s. He has been practicing Krishna consciousness for 35 years. And the whole world knows about the glories of his kirtan. And I invite His Grace Badahari Das Prabhu. And the person next to me stood up and he walked there. I'm like, oh, Krishna. That was a direct shock for me. And the other incident was, I once went to New Vrindavan. This was a few years into Krishna consciousness. And then this was the festival of inspiration. And a lot of devotees would come and whatnot. And at that time, we also like to invite a lot of new people, right? And then there was a small discussion happening, and this new person, he walked into a room in which His Holiness Radhana Swami was sitting there. And then somebody said, he's a new person. This is Swamiji Radhanath Swami. He went and shook his hand. Nice to meet you, Prabhu, he said. So, when I look at those two incidents, right, we hardly know the people that are around us. And in the same way, there are so many personalities in the scriptures that are great devotees of the Lord, but when we look at through the lens of our own eyes and our own perspectives, we do not understand the glories of that particular personality. And that's why Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. While these people are descending into this world, as if Krishna took birth from the womb of Devaki, as if Nityanandaram took birth from the womb of Padmavati, we may think it's an ordinary personality, it's an ordinary biography of some person. But that's not true. It's not a simple appearance in this material world. And that's why the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, when he starts the writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, he spends so much time, if you read Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he spends so much time describing the expansions and expansions and expansions of Krishna. And then he introduces the personalities. I believe it's chapter 4 or chapter 5, I'm confused now. Chapter 5, he calls it Nityananda Balram. It doesn't say Nityananda. First of all, the title itself says Nityananda Balram. And then he describes two major aspects. He gives us who Nityananda Prabhu is in the spiritual world. And then he starts off to explain Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna. So Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. And from him, first expansion is Lord Balram. So what is the meaning of first expansion? He's non-different than Krishna. He's just wearing a different dress. Srila Prabhupada explains, Krishna and Balram are non-different. It is just their mood is a little different. And that Balaram is non-different than Nityananda Prabhu. It's not like Nityananda Prabhu is an expansion of Balram. He is non-different. Balram and Nityananda are non-different. And then he goes on to explain there are 5 expansions that come. There is actually multiple layers of expansions. But in this chapter, Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says there are 5 principal expansions that Balram manifests. One is Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and Sesha. Through Sankarshan, he maintains the spiritual worlds and the material world. Then expansion of Sankarshan is Mahavishnu or Karanodakshai Vishnu. You see this material world around us, right? If we feel that this is a big planet, right? But if you look into the sky, you see millions and millions of planets out in the sky, and we are just a dot. And such huge universe and multiples of these universe are just coming out from the pores of Mahavishnu. And he is only an amsa of Balram, a small portion, aspect. And then Karanodakshai Vishnu comes from Mahavishnu. And then from Karanodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu comes. So you may be thinking, why am I telling you this? How many of you woke up today morning? How did you wake up? Was it the alarm clock? Or somebody pushed you out of your bed? In actuality, if the super soul or Kshirodakshai Vishnu in your heart doesn't wake you up, you would not get up from your bed. If Vishnu does not maintain this universe, you would not be able to breathe. How would it be like if you slept today and tomorrow morning you woke up and you don't know who you are? You may be thinking, I'm a big person in a company. I maintain my own family. So many people are dependent on me, or I have so much wealth, or I have so much fame. But the next day morning, you get up and you forget who you are. How would that experience be? That remembrance of who you are is also given by Kshirodakshai Vishnu. In retrospect, if you think, when Mahavishnu goes back to slumber or sleep, the whole universe goes into suspension and the souls are dormant. That is who we are actually. Without the power of Vishnu, without the glance of Vishnu, there is no universe. Without the remembrance of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, no. Okay. We would not know who we are. So in one sense, you can think today morning you were woke up by Nityanandaram. Every moment that you are sustaining yourself is the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So how grateful should we be to Lord Nityananda? Most of us come to the temple, right? We know the difference between material life and spiritual life. Who is giving us that knowledge? It's Krishna through Nityanandaram, because Lord Nityananda is also Guru Tattva, and there are two forms of Guru. One Guru is Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru, who is externally manifesting, and the internal manifestation is the spiritual soul. So now that we know who Lord Nityanandaram is, in actuality, now let us approach Lord Nityananda and see his various pastimes. Small time check. What's the time now? 6:55. Okay, we only have 20 minutes. Anantasesha speaks for eternity, and he still doesn't find time. So one may ask a question, when we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I will approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why should I approach Nityanandaram? And in the same chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives his own life story. He says, he was an old man by this time, and he was staying with his brother in his brother's house. When he's staying with his brothers in his brother's house, one day a great devotee visits Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And he is a great devotee of Lord Nityananda. And then he starts to glorify Lord Nityananda so much. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's brother he's a devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he does not have faith in Lord Nityananda. So he kind of criticizes the devotee who was visiting him. And somehow the conversation ends. Next day, that evening, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami goes to his brother and he says, your philosophy is the philosophy of a half hen. He says, a farmer who is breeding chickens, he expects, he's supposed to feed the chicken and get the egg out. But you do not want to feed, you're only interested in the egg. So you approaching only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like a half-hen philosophy. You cannot approach Lord Chaitanya without approaching Lord Nityananda. And he chastises him like that. And that night itself, Lord Nityananda comes in the dream of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and he says, I want you to leave this place of Navadvip and go to Vrindavan. And eventually that manifests in the creation of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, let us approach, if we want to approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is non-different from Krishna, let us approach him through Lord Nityananda. So let us see some pastimes of the wonderful pastimes of Nityananda Ram, right? So his birth and his childhood pastimes are very amazing. It is nicely described in Bhakti Ratnakar. Actually, this is a retrospect story in the sense like Janavi Mata, she is the wife of Lord Nityananda Ram. Eventually, after Lord Nityananda leaves this material world, she takes charge of some of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas and their spiritual growth. And one day they visit the Dham of Ekachakra. And it looks totally devastated, like an abandoned village. And when they visit Ekachakra, they only find one old man sitting under a banyan tree. So Janvi Mata and the devotees go under that tree and they ask him, why is this whole place abandoned? Why is it deserted? Looks like nobody is living here. Then this personality goes on to explain, saying that this place is called Ekachakra Dham. This is the place where the Pandavas resided in exile in their last year of exile. And this is where Bakasura was killed by the Pandavas. After Pandavas' pastimes, this was considered a very holy place and many people lived here. And it was a very, very populated place. And he goes on to say that back then, the astrologers, there was one astrologer who was very famous and he could predict the future very well. He said, he looked at this holy place and he said, in future, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Balramji, is going to appear in this place. And he shows this chart to other astrologers and everybody says, yes, this is the place where the Supreme Lord Balram is going to appear here. And that prediction remains in that village for a long time. Meanwhile, in that place there lived a person called Odha. He was a Brahmana and for a long time they did not have children. But finally, after a long prayers to Krishna, they had one son. Their son is the father of Lord Nityananda, Hadai Pandit. Hadai Pandit got married to Padmavati. And then they had this one beautiful looking child who was like a full moon. And when he was born, back then they had a lot of droughts or famine and kind of things. But when this little child was born, the whole situation of this whole place changed. It's called Radhadesh. The whole place has changed. And everybody in that village, as soon as they looked at the child, they immediately fell in love with this child. Some called him Nitai. Some called him Nityananda. In this way, the whole village loved this child and the child grew in this wonderful environment. And his main activity all along, like children like to do many different things, right? This child's activity was solely, his heart was in performing the pastimes of Krishna and the pastimes of Ramachandra. He was so involved in performing these pastimes. And actually, nobody recited these pastimes to him. He would just collect the kids. He would say, you're going to be a monkey, and I'm going to be Lakshman, and you are going to be Ram. And we are going to act the pastimes of Ramayana. Said, Mother Sita was abducted by Ravana. And this monkey, Hanuman, you have to go and cross over the ocean and find out where Sita is. And in this way, they kept on performing pastimes. When it came to the battle between Ram and Ravana, he was Lakshman. He told one monkey, you're Hanuman. I'm going to be shot by Indrajit. And I'm going to collapse. At this time, you have to jump, go to the Himalayan mountains and get the Sanjeevani and rescue me. Then Indrajit went to the opposite side. He took a small stick-like arrow and he shot to Lord Nityananda. As soon as the arrow touched Nityananda, he fainted. But the monkey forgot that he has to go and get Sanjeevani. They tried to wake up Nityananda. He did not wake up. They shook him. The whole village came. But Nityananda did not get up. He was so immersed in the pastime that his external consciousness was totally lost. They tried to do so many things, but Nityananda did not get up. Then finally that guy remembered, I have to go and get Sanjeevani. He ran and he picked a small herb and he brought and said, Lakshman, here is Sanjeevani. And immediately Nityananda got up. And this is the kind of pastimes they enacted day in, day out. And the adults always asked, how do you know these pastimes? These are filled with so much detail. Nobody explained this to you. Then Nityananda said, because these are my pastimes. I know all these pastimes. And in this way, Lord Nityananda spent his time for a long time with his boys. When he was about the age of 12, one day he suddenly roared loudly. Everybody was shocked. What happened? Why are you roaring? The sound was heard to the outskirts of Ekachakra. Some people were thinking something bad must have happened. A thunderbolt must have struck or whatnot. But nobody knew the reason why Lord Nityananda was roaring. The reason he roared was Gaura Purnima, the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki! As soon as Lord Chaitanya appeared, Lord Nityananda was in ecstasy because his Lord has just appeared in this material world. Around the same time, a sannyasi came to the village of Ekachakra. And he was a guest at Padmavati and Hadai Pandit's house. They served him very nicely for a couple of days. And then, when the sannyasi was about to leave, they asked, is there anything we can do to serve you? The sannyasi said, there is nothing that I don't have, and there is nothing I want from you. But if you really want to give me something, I only ask one thing. He said, give me your child Nityananda to travel with me. That was a shock. Hadai Pandit was not expecting this. He was the love of his heart. He would relish looking at him waking up every day, the way he performed his activities. And then he felt like Dashrath being asked to give away Lord Ram by Vishwamitra. He went and discussed with Padmavati. This sannyasi wants to take our son with him on pilgrimage. Do you want to send him? Padmavati said, whatever you decide, I am in agreement with you. Hadai Pandit, he didn't want to say no, and he didn't want to say yes. He wasn't sure. So then, Hadai Pandit carefully gave Lord Nityananda to the sannyasi. Then Nityananda Ram started traveling with the sannyasi. He traveled for 20 years. He never returned to Ekachakra. He became a traveling wanderer, an avadhuta. What is the meaning of an avadhuta? We heard, right? Nityananda Avadhut. We also sang this prayer, right? In our Guru, we say, okay, it'll come to my mind, basically. I don't want to recite the whole prayer, but I'm looking at the clock. Avadhuta means when you externally see a person, you think that person is mad. But internally, they are the most realized person and the most compassionate person. He was the Avadut. I'll show you a small map. These were the different places that Lord Nityananda traveled. Ekachakra is here. Oops. He traveled several places. If you see, he went all the way from Ekachakra to Gaya, to Varanasi, then to Prayag, Mathura, Govardhan, Vrindavan, Gokul Dham, and then he started traveling towards the south. When he came close to Udupi, a great incident has happened. At Udupi, he met another great personality called Madhavendra Puri, who was traveling with some of his disciples. There, Vrindavan Das Thakur describes the meeting. He spends almost like one full, I wouldn't say full chapter, but at least several pages describing how they both had loving exchanges between each other, because they were both intoxicated in the love of Krishna. And then eventually, after a few days, they started to travel. Madhavendra Puri started to travel towards Mithila, and Nityanandaram started to travel towards the south. And then, as he's traveled to the south, he meets Lakshmi Tirtha. And he accepts Lakshmi Tirtha as his spiritual master. And the next day, after he accepts Lakshmi Tirtha as spiritual master, Lakshmi Tirtha has a dream. He has a dream in which a personality who is tall and beautiful, golden in complexion, wearing blue garments, and holding a haladhar, a plow, appears in his dream. And he says, the person who you initiated is me. It is Balram. Lakshmi Tirtha goes into ecstasy and he offers obeisances. And Nityanandaram starts to travel many more places. And finally, he comes to Jagannath Puri temple. And then he finally goes to Vrindavan. As soon as he goes to Vrindavan, he stays there for a long time. And then one day, he starts to travel to Navadvip. Because that's when, in Navadvip, the whole situation has changed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated his Sankirtan movement. And now, Nityananda is going to accompany Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his service. So we know the pastimes, right? When Krishna appeared, Balaram appears to serve Krishna. When Ramachandra appears, Lakshman appears to serve Ramachandra. When Krishna needs the service of maintaining this material world, Balram appears as Sankarshan. Janma karma chame divyam. Karma we were talking about, right? What is Balaram or Nityananda's eternal duty or his activity is to serve Krishna. No matter what the pastime is, no matter if he's the elder brother, younger brother, Lord Nityananda is 12 years older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts his mission of Sankirtan movement, he joins him to serve him. So if we understand the karma, in the Janma Karma Chame Divyam, that the activity of Nityanandaram is only to serve Krishna, then we truly understand and we can follow in his footsteps. Small time check. I don't know if the time is right. 2 more minutes, okay. Now, how did Lord Nityananda serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Right, if a young person, much younger than us, comes and says, you go and do this, to an older person, we'll be like, you don't know the etiquette, right? Or you do not have the experience. But Lord Nityananda was not like that. There's a nice example I heard. For us to attain liberation or even love for Krishna in Satyuga, it is like, most of you took exams, right, in school or Bhakti Shastri exams. It's like writing essays. You're given a question, you're supposed to write a 300-word essay or a 500-word essay. But then when it comes to Dwapar Yuga, it is made a little easy. You're given fill in the blanks, match the following. No, actually in Treta Yuga. When it comes to Dwapar Yuga, you're given multiple choice questions. The answer is there, you just have to know which one is the right answer. When it comes to Kali Yuga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, just come and sit in the exam hall and write your name. But if you do not show up for the exam hall, Nityananda brings the paper to your house and he asks, write your name. That is Lord Nityananda. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, he went in the streets, he propagated the name, and because people were criticizing him, he took sannyas. But Lord Nityananda is even merciful. He didn't wait for people to come. He went house to house, door to door. He says, Krishna tumar pita. Krishna is your father. Krishna is your mother. Please chant the names of Krishna. And he's falling at the feet and holding on to the feet. And who is he? Sankarshan, who's maintaining all the universes, every atom in this world, every breath we take, he's holding our feet. And he's saying, please chant the name of Krishna. Imagine somebody so powerful coming and holding our legs. But then, people kicked him. People took a pot and broke his head. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he became extremely angry and he called Chakra. He wanted to cut the head of Jagai and Madai. But Nityananda held his feet. He said, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate. We came here not to kill people. We came here to give Krishna Prema. So how grateful should we be to Sankarshan, to Balaram, to Nityananda, who is maintaining every aspect of our life, and he's holding our feet to take his shelter. Let us just say one prayer and conclude. Nityanando avadutendar Vasudha pranavallabha Janavi jivitapatihi Krishna prema prataprabho Padmavati shuta shriman Sachinandana purvajan Bhavonmato jagatrato Rakta Gaura Kalevara. So on this day, let us aspire to hold on to the feet of Lord Nityananda and ask him to give us the strength, because he is Balaram. He is the spiritual strength. He is the one who can give us the strength to chant the holy name. And let us beg at his feet so that we can chant the holy name. Shri Nityananda Ram ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Now we'll do some bhajans and we can immerse in the mood of Lord Nityananda.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Please say a big Haribol and wonderful claps for Prabhu for inspiring us to really touch the feet of Nityananda Prabhu in order to reach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So now we will have bhajans by Shatrupa Mataji and Shruti Mataji. Before that, I understand Sumangala Mataji wants to take 5 minutes. So, Sumangala Mataji will be quick. One thing, the kids, prasadam is going to be served downstairs, and the kids can actually go and take prasadam right away. But for the adults, it's going to be at 7:45 after the bhajan. Okay?
Hare Krishna. I have something special in my hand and I'm super excited. We have been waiting 6 years, fundraising and the dream come true, and we launched the flyer. Now, today, we would like to launch the sponsorship flyer for that special day. So once in a lifetime, we are bringing that paper to you all to take this once in a lifetime opportunity for the sponsorship for the temple inauguration day. So because this is a special event, I would like to have this handed over and launched by Sandhya Mataji here, who is one of our initial first devotee in the Naperville. Yeah, so when Mataji started here in Naperville, Mataji, have you ever thought of the whole temple?
All those, how we started in Premananda Mataji's basement, and then we moved to Oswego. There was that was in a residential area. We had one house. We purchased that property actually, but then people chased us out because we were having too many loud programs. We were happily singing outside. They didn't like it. So then we came here. That is like some 14 years ago, I think. And then we've been here. And now we are moving to the big. Amazing. I live to see all this. Hare Krishna. It's wonderful.
So there are different opportunities, and some of the opportunities you will never get them again. And we sponsor for festivals, and also this is one time in a lifetime opportunity. And we will be distributing, we'll be outside at the reception. If anybody would like to sponsor any sponsorships, they could contact Sangeeta Mataji or me or Sarvanand Prabhu, who is here every week. You could contact Sarvanand Prabhu, any one of us. Thank you so much. On this auspicious day, we would like to launch it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we're going to be singing Nitai Pada Kamala. You can look up the lyrics on your phone. It should be online. I'll just read the translation. The lotus feet of Nitai are as cooling as millions of moons. Their shade gives solace to the entire universe. Without a personality such as Nitai, O brother, it is not possible to attain Radha and Krishna, so firmly take hold of his lotus feet. If someone does not establish a relationship with Nityananda Prabhu, his human birth is wasted. Such an animalistic person is very wicked. Not uttering the name of Nitai with his lips, he drowns himself in the so-called happiness of the material world. What then can his education and pedigree do for him? Maddened by false pride and forgetting Nitai's lotus feet, one considers illusion to be truth. If Nitai is merciful, one can attain Radha and Krishna in Vraja, so firmly take hold of Nitai's 2 lotus feet. The lotus feet of Nitai are eternal truth, and his servitors are eternally liberated, always aspire to attain the lotus feet of Nitai. Narottam is very unhappy. O Nitai, please make me happy by keeping me close to the reddish soles of your lotus feet. Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Koti Chandra Sushitala Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai Jaya Jagata Jurai Heno Nitai Binebai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Binebai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Heno Nitai Binebai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Binebai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Dveda Korin Dharo Nitarpai Dveda Korin Dharo Nitarpai Dveda Korin Dharo Nitarpai Veda Gorin Dharoni Tarpar Se Sambandha Nahi Jar Pita Janma Gelo Tara Se Sambandha Nahi Ara Beta Janma Gelo Tara Se Basho Bado Duraja Se Basho Bado Duraja Se Basho Bado Duraja Nitai na boni lomoke Maji no samsara suke Maji no samsara suke Vedya kule ki kori vedara Vedya kule Ahankare mataya Nitai pada pashariya Nitai pada Ahankare mataya Nitai pada pashariya Asatyere satya korimani Asatyere satya korimani Asatyere satya korimani Nitaye karuna habe Raji Radha Krishna pabe Dharonitaye charana dukani Dharonitaye charana dukani Dharonitaye charana dukani Nitaye charana satya Tara sevaka nitya Nitaye charana satya Tara sevaka nitya Nitai pada sada karo asha Nitai pada sada karo asha Nitai pada sada karo asha Narotama Boroduki Nitai More Karo Sukhi Rakoranga Charane Rapasha Rakoranga Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai Jai Jaya Jagata Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai, Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai. Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai, Jai Jaya Jagata Jurai. Jai. Prasadam time.